Morning, everybody. If you follow my channel, you see that I'm going through a development. My channel goes through a development, and this can be seen as a timeline. And wherever you are, you might find a spot that fits to where you are, and maybe I can inspire you, or you find again that part of my timeline that resonates with you. And I'm not a savior, that's what I said before, and I'm not a victim, and I'm not a villain, okay? So, um, what is the development that I'm going through, you know? Yeah, you know, there are, everything in life is looped and going cyclic in circles. And of course, the same applies for abuse. So narcissists have an abusive circle that they go through, and after one circle, they emerge newborn with a new shared fantasy, and this justifies, their abuse, everything they have done. They don't go through internal change, they go through an external change. So instead of doing inner work, they do this new image, right? So anyway, we're not talking about this. This is a problem. This is part of the problem. Because I just recently realized this. It's great to it's great and necessary to educate yourself about the pathologies of these very infiltrating, infective, overtaking nature. This spirit, this sick spirit that is infiltrating all parts of families, society, politics, business. Everything is infiltrated by the spirit of narcissistic psychopathy. Make no mistake about it. So it's important for everybody to educate about it, okay? And then when you learn what this is, you also learn what you are, probably. And in my case, I can say I am 100% sure that I'm not the same. I would be. I went to the extent to say that I'm ready to diagnose myself. This would be like a proof, so I can then go and say, look, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. But I would only do this in combination with a person that I lived together in the past. If this person would say, all right, let's go, we do this, I would be ready to do this as well. But that was rather a stunt from myself to keep them in a distance, to tell them, you know what, I'm ready, I'm cooperative, let's look at the truth. Yeah, but of course, this does not really work. By the way, just I need to get something more out that I'm just connecting to that what I said. You know that I'm very inspired by Sam Vaknin's, of course, his basic groundbreaking work about narcissism helps thousands of people, but also he has further intellectually stimulating ideas. But what he does is he says that all empaths are narcissists and psychopaths as well. And in this case, I must, you know, I don't share the same opinion. But that's okay. Let's just leave that like that. I could say more to this, but I'm not saying more to this. I'm just saying I don't share the same opinion. But I believe that this movement of empath is undermined and infiltrated by narcissistic psychopaths, just like every other movement you will ever find in this world. So every power structure, and especially groups of people who are traumatized in some way and are oppressed and see themselves as victims to a certain degree are predestined to be infiltrated by narcissists, because this is the perfect prey for narcissists, okay? Um, so, that being said, what I believe is we, or why do I say we, right? Um, I I want to be a strong individual that does not need a group to hide in, does not need to have a safe space, and that does not have to accuse and blame others. Um, so we go through this timeline, right? I mean, I have to restart this timeline again because I did not go back far enough in time to catch everybody of you. Okay, so it's great that you educate. It's great that you learn this about what is happening in the world. It's great that you realize that you might be in an abusive situation. It's great when you start working on this, when you get out of this. It's great when you find a self-help peer group community. I know that when you come from narcissistic abuse or any kind of abuse, what you really need is someone who listens to you, someone who understands you, somebody who trusts you and not gaslights you as well, not puts you under new coercion, who still triggers the same trauma, right? You might never get that, not even from a therapist. Okay? You might never get that. But maybe you do. Yet what I want to really tell all of you is we must be slowly careful and self-loving in the first place, which includes that sometimes we need a safe space. Sometimes we need a community to hide in. Sometimes we need somebody who just accepts us and not even challenges us, even if we are wrong. Maybe we need that for a certain time. Maybe we need a defensive fantasy that we create about ourselves. Maybe we need to lie about ourselves. Maybe we need to engage in defensive reactions that are connected to denial. Otherwise, we would break. Otherwise, we couldn't stand life anymore. Maybe. But where I want to get is a place where I can say, I messed up and I understand all the people, I understand these people who had to abuse me, who had to turn everything upside down and stuff like this, broken people, and this and that. I understand the abusers, I understand high functioning psychopaths, I understand covert narcissists, I understand the roles of competitive victimhood and all of this, all right? And I understand myself. I understand that some people are a reduction of a human being. They lack certain parts of that, what I still see as a fully developed human being, like having empathy, having a moral compass, and so on. And some people don't have that. And this is why they do what they do. But I want to save this in myself. I want to preserve this for myself. And I had to let go very many things just to save this, right? But I don't want to stay in the state of blaming others, look and, pointing at them and needing a safe space and hiding in a group. No, I want to become a resilient and strong individual that is not defined by what happened to it, to me, to this individual. Um, so I say, yeah, I fucked up. I made a mistake. And I take the responsibility for that and I hold other people accountable for what they did. So everybody carries his cross and then I move on, right? And yeah, and I learn so many things at the moment, right? I start learning about politics. I try to find out what are the difference between the left and the right wing, even in politics, because to me sometimes it seems both sides use the same methods, both sides have the same toxic potential for toxic sides like shadow, right? Like in the same way as in archetypes. So whether it's anima or animus, both can have a shadow side. Whether it's the eternal child, the poor or puella eterna, it can all have a shadow side. Whether it's any kind of archetype, every archetype can have a shadow. And so I'm learning a lot of things at the moment. Um, I also learn that when you try to analyze what is happening in the world today and in people, it is better to use um, game theory, signal theory, concepts like understanding the human made world as fantastic spaces filled with manipulated symbols instead of trying to hold on to idealistic worldviews of working democracies, of healthy individuals, of people who are very understanding, very empathetic, solidarity. These things don't play a big role at the moment in the world because um, of Machiavellianism. Machiavelli told us if one person breaks the rules, everybody else will follow, and this is what happens at the moment. So it doesn't, it doesn't mean that these things are not important, that these things cannot be of some form of benefit in the future or in small groups. But yeah, I believe what we really need are resilient, strong, broadly educated individuals at the moment instead of groups that try that compete in victimhood or groups who compete in leadership. So we have people who compete in being the most dominant villain. We have groups who compete in being the most victimized victim. And they do this to gain influence and power over others. And I believe all of this is going nowhere. So, yeah, I believe the way to go is to become a resilient individual that is not hyper vigilant, that is not hypersensitive, that does not perceive every unclear situation as a micro attack. Not everything that happens, not everything that somebody says that is not 100% clearly communicated is an attack against your or my personality. Yeah, I feel like a lot of groups are literally in a feedback loop and are an echo chamber as well that is only designed to defend and fight, to defend itself preemptively. So there is no way to communicate with these people, especially not about the topic that they identify as. So as soon as you say a buzzword, it's perceived as an attack, and you are preemptively destroyed or stonewalled or ignored. So this is why these things lead nowhere. And also what I said when I said I try to understand left and right wing politics, both sides use the same methods at many times, express the same form of a shadow side. And this can also lead nowhere, because doing evil, manipulative, and bad things does not, you cannot justify the things that you do just because you are convinced that you do the right thing. So this is what I'm emphasizing on is, let's look through all of this. Look at people, look at human beings, look at strong, resilient people who are not trying to be competing in victimhood or in sheer toxic dominance. We need people who have an aligned self-confidence, so which means they have influence, they have confidence that is based on real accomplishments, and there must be some reasonable equality in these accomplishments and their self-confidence. Not grandiose people, actually. I think we need visionaries. I think we need leaders, but yeah, not these absolutely extreme abominations, I would say. Not absolutely insane people, because this means a complete loss of control for everybody involved. In other words, let's exit fantasies. Let's exit shared fantasies. Let's exit safe spaces where everything is perceived as an attack. Let's step out there and give other people a chance to talk to you, and don't feel attacked, and don't preemptively attack or destroy them. Let other people make mistakes, just as we did 20 years ago, when you could say what you want to say, and if there was a discussion, it was a discussion, and maybe it even got heated. Whatever it was settled into place, and then it was good. Nobody's going to be cancelled. We have we have huge problems at the moment in communication. Communication is impossible in many, many cases, and oftentimes it's not it's not the finger pointing at somebody else, but the three fingers pointing back at those who identify with the victim role too much, or people, on the other hand, that desperately, brutally hold on to dominant power, justifying everything necessary. All of these things lead nowhere. They lead to disaster.